Good morning, everybody. I did a narrative story for my adult dogwood diploma, and it is a story reflecting my life and the things that I went through growing up. So, I wanted to share this story with everybody, and it is something that I take very personal and something that means a lot to me. It is my narrative story that I did for my adult dogwood diploma, and it's called World Full of Darkness because that is something that I went through in my life, and I thought I'd share it with anybody that would like to watch or to hear. So let's get started. That moment when your whole world comes crashing down, not knowing what to do or what to think. Nothing but pure blackness surrounds you, the feeling of anxiety coming on and you can't breathe. Your thoughts are nothing but negative with your heart pounding and your knees getting weak. Mixed emotions, can't really focus. Well, that was exactly what I was going through on November 24th, 2012. My life was great. I was working full-time in Vancouver, White Rock, 7 days a week, 10 hours a day in 2 nail salons. I had practically everything I ever wanted. I was so close to my family. I had so much fun at the age of 22, and with my parents living in Prince George, it was hard to visit them every day. So when they were able to, they would come to Vancouver to spend a few days with me. Those moments I remember as if it were yesterday. My mother, father, and baby sister came down to see a doctor, but at the same time, it was my sister's 11th birthday. So of course, I took them all out to celebrate. With all of us looking forward to breakfast, we went to Denny's. Then I took them all out to shop around. Time passed and it was time for dinner. We ate at a Chinese restaurant and I shared a couple beers with my father. At that time, his favorite was Canadian and mine was Budweiser. We laughed, we talked, catching up and having a blast. The night was crawling in, so it was time for me to say goodbye. I went back to work and they went back to Prince George. Every other day we would FaceTime. Those moments were always funny because FaceTiming was so new to my parents. It sure did make my dad smile and laugh. Then out of nowhere, 2 weeks later, I get a phone call from my mother saying Dad's in the hospital, in intensive care unit. I then asked her why, what's going on. I was freaking out not knowing what had happened. My mind and my thoughts going crazy. I thought maybe he fell on ice or broke something. My mother saying come home as soon as possible. The doctor is saying he doesn't have long to live. I packed my things and I caught the next flight to Prince George. Not knowing what to expect, I was nervous. Arriving at the hospital, I see all my family, even a few that traveled from all over the place. The nurses came out saying someone can go see him. So my mom said, go ahead, babe. I walk in with a gift to give my dad, thinking he'll be awake. I get to the room that they kept him in, and I see him hooked up to all these wires and tubes down his nose and in his throat. I then instantly start crying. My brother John comes in and starts crying as well. I couldn't believe that it was this serious. Growing up so close to my father, he was so strong, and he taught me to be strong as well. My grandmother always said that they still can hear you, even if they're not awake. So I went beside my dad, and I whispered in his ear, telling him how much I loved him, and that I was there, and to not worry that I will take care of everybody. He had a nickname for everyone that he met or knew. The nickname he gave me was Square. And to this day, I'm not sure why he chose that one for me, but that's who I was to him, I guess. I stayed there for a few hours, then left to my mom's place, which was home for me. I was so upset, I went straight to my father's room, laid in his bed crying and screaming into his pillow. A million thoughts going through my head, my eyes just swollen and my heart shattered. I couldn't control the hurt that I was feeling, so I decided to pray. Pray to the Creator and ask Him to watch over my dad, for the angels to wrap their wings around him, to give him strength so he can come back home. The next morning, we get a phone call from the doctor saying he just woke up and is asking for his daughter. So instantly we rush over there and see the nurses helping him out of bed. He was in a coma for 2 weeks, so they said he needed to move and allow his blood to flow a lot better. I then was so happy knowing he is awake, so I thought, yes, my prayers were answered. I felt a little more relieved knowing my father was out of the ICU room. My dad was moved into a family room, so there would be more space for everyone to fit into the room. I then showed him what I brought him. It was an Elvis drawing that I got done for him in Vancouver by an artist on the street. It brought joy to his face, and he told me to hang it up so he can see it clearly on the wall. We had family travel all the way to Prince George to spend time with my dad. The hospital was packed every single day with friends and everyone we knew bringing us food, such as big pots of soup, bread, fruit, vegetables, sandwiches, and things to drink. My dad was one of the chiefs from Gitxkookla. He was well known by everyone. Just seeing everyone there showed their respect and love made my family happy. I remember my father telling everyone that he's going home in 4 days. And just by him saying that made me think he's going to be okay. With my mother and grandmother staying the nights with him at the hospital, me and my sisters would go home and rest. Days went by and I started noticing my father sleeping a lot more than often. I didn't understand what it meant at that time, and I remember seeing the preacher and my grandmother touching him and whispering in his ears, praying and speaking Gitsan to him. I felt at ease because I thought they were giving him strength. The 3rd day went by. My dad was sleeping, and then all of a sudden he wakes up and puts his hand in the air, thanking everyone for coming and being here for us, telling my mom how much he loves her and sorry for everything that he's done, telling everyone how much he loves all of us. I was looking around and everyone was either crying or worried. My mother is standing beside him, crying and holding his hand, and my grandmother is praying and speaking to him in Gitsen again. He was telling her he was scared and didn't want to go, so my was calming him down and asking the Creator to forgive him and to allow him to go to heaven. At that moment, I had no idea what they were talking about. I went out to the hallway soon after. My older sister comes to me saying, "You just missed what Dad said." I asked her, "What did he say?" She said, "He asked Mom who's going to walk Babe down the aisle when she gets married." And then I started crying harder, asking her, "Why is he talking like that?" Me believing in my heart that he was coming home. That night my mother asked if I wanted to spend the night with Dad. I told her I'm scared. What if something happens to him? I'll end up freaking out. So I sat beside Dad holding his hand, just looking at him, in my head thinking of all the memories we had with him, how much I love him and wish he would be okay. I went home with my sisters and brothers, once again falling asleep in my dad's bed crying. That morning, 7 a.m., we got a call. It was my mother saying Dad's gone. For some reason, I thought she was joking. I honestly didn't want to believe anything she said. Mom said, "Come to the hospital and don't tell Kelly yet," who was my younger sister. We arrive at the hospital seeing everyone crying and screaming, my heart pounding. I get to his room and I see him covered with his favorite tiger blanket. Mom telling me to say goodbye to Dad. I sat beside him thinking he's just sleeping. I touch his arm and this time it felt different. He felt cold and hard. That moment I knew he was really gone. Inside it felt as if my whole world came crashing down. I felt like I was instantly lost. I couldn't focus and couldn't think anymore. Everyone was asking, why isn't she crying? I could hear the elders saying she's in shock. Days went on, we brought him home, then held a memorial for him. The hall was jam-packed. Sorry. Hello? Hi. I'm recording a video right now. I'll call you back. Alright. Bye. Sorry. The hall was jam-packed with friends and family from all over. For some reason, I couldn't really feel any emotion as I sat there watching everyone else cry. I stayed strong for my family. The funeral came, but everything still seemed like a blur. I guess it truly hit home that I no longer had my father anymore. I promised him I would take care of the family, but deep down inside I felt so much anger and hatred towards God or the Creator. I felt betrayed and lied to, like my father was taken from me way too soon. At the age of 22, and my father was only 62, I felt like we were supposed to have him in our life forever. As soon as we got back to Prince George, I acted out, not realizing the hurt and the pain I was already causing my mother. I remember a few friends came into town, then invited me out. We had a big house party. Alcohol was involved as well as cocaine. I remember heading home with my friends' glasses. They came to pick it up the next day and brought me a case of beer. I sat in my father's room drinking and blasting loud music, trying to drink all the pain away. I started drinking so much that a case of beer couldn't even get me drunk anymore. I became blind to the system of alcohol and not even noticing it. I fell into a path of not caring for myself or anyone else around me for that matter. The only thing on my mind was that my dad was gone, and now I don't give a fuck about anything else. I became rude and selfish, a very mean person whom my friends liked, but I lost a lot of respect from my family. I became a liar, a thief, a cheater. I continued to party. I was the center of attention. I thought at that time everything that I was doing was so much fun. But sooner or later, I got into trouble. Being around the wrong people at the wrong time, I found myself in jail with charges that I never knew I would have. Being locked up was so scary, but the cops asked me, "What are you doing here? You don't seem like the person to be in here." I was charged with having stolen items on me as well as a deadly weapon, which was an 8-inch knife in between my breasts. My sister, on the other hand, was charged with major trafficking. She had numerous drugs on her: cocaine, crack, crystal meth, MDMA, Molly, and heroin. So she was looking at a few years in jail. I wasn't allowed to leave Prince George. I wasn't allowed to drink or do drugs or be out past a certain time, and if I broke those rules, I could face more serious charges. That is how I lived my life for 3 years after my father died. Being on the streets with absolutely no hope at all, struggling with my addictions of alcohol, cocaine, crystal meth, and MDMA. My whole world was in the dark. With a black heart and I don't give a fuck kind of attitude, I was going nowhere in life. My family worried for me every day, thinking I would get killed or overdose, and me not having a care in the world. Between those 3 years, I went through 2 bad relationships. One was with a drug dealer, and the other was a psychopath who almost killed me. I look back to this day and think, what was I thinking? 2013 came, and I was at a party sitting there trying to do what I usually do, get drunk and get high till I forget the hurt and the pain that I was feeling. But for some reason, it wasn't working no more. I sat there looking around at the other people getting high. It was like I could see myself sitting there from a different view. And I was thinking to myself, what are you doing? You are so much better than this. At that moment, I went home telling my cousin Jolene how much I wanted to change my life, that I'm so sick of living this way. I told her I want to find a guy out there that's completely sober, with a job, and to start a life with. She said, I have someone that's messaging me the same things, saying he too wants to find a woman to start a life with, and that the girls from his area aren't cutting it no more. She introduced us on Facebook, and he called me on New Year's. His name was Jeremy Johnson. He was 1 year sober, and he had a son and was working in camp. We kept in touch here and there. Then one day my cousin was like, my boyfriend's getting out of jail. Let's go pick him up in Hazelton. She said you could meet Jeremy too. At that time, I still had the charges of not allowed to leave Prince George, but I left anyways. January 2014, we got to Kispiox, and my cousin's boyfriend's family threw a big dinner for him. On her way there, she stopped and said, there's Jeremy. I instantly became nervous. He leaned over to look into the car. My cousin was like, Isabel, I'd like you to meet Jeremy, my nig-nig. That was just a nickname he had, I guess. And he had the biggest, nicest smile I have ever seen. I was like, what, Jolene? Is that really him? She laughed and said, yes. I instantly fell for him. Just his smile, his height, and the way he smelt totally got my attention. After meeting him, I traveled back and forth from Prince George to Kispiox for 9 months to visit Jeremy and his son. And in October of 2014, I decided to move to Kispiox to get away from the lifestyle that I was living. I knew something was different about him, so I decided I wanted to be completely honest with him. I told him everything about my life, my past serious, awful relationships, my childhood, as well as my teen life, the moment I lost my father and fell into addiction. I was so scared I would lose him too by everything I was telling him. I honestly thought he would back off. But shortly after I moved to Kispiox, he messaged me saying his mom gave him the green light. I said, the green light? What are you talking about? He then said, my mom said I could date you. I thought that was so sweet that he talked to his mom about me. He then said, my mom is my best friend and I talked to her about everything. I then said, so you want to date me now? Jeremy said, yeah, let's make it official. I then started laughing and said, like Facebook official? Even though he knew every detail about me, I was so shocked he still wanted to be with me. I then asked him, why me? Why did you choose me out of all the women from around here and out of all the women that you were seeing? He then told me, because you are different. I see something in you. We then went on with our relationship. The first year was hard because I was still an alcoholic and I always will be. But just battling the past addictions was so hard to quit. It sure took me a while. I was very stubborn, and Jeremy saw that as well. He knew everything I was battling and told me I needed to go get help, and that he needs a sober woman to be with. So throughout the 1 year, he stuck by me, helping me, telling me how beautiful I am, and teaching me how amazing life truly could be if I just take that leap of faith. He helped me get into seeing a counselor, and then slowly I got into Wolf Treatment Center. From there, life truly felt like it was getting better. Everything that I learned in treatment helped me remarkably. There I learned how to respect myself, how to truly love myself, how to let go of my past hurt, addictions, sexual assaults, abusive past relationships, and most of all, how to let go of my father. I learned how to change negativity to positivity and to actually pay attention and love the small things around me. Everyone noticed a huge change just from attending treatment. I went from this rude, selfish, ignorant, mean, negative, and depressed person to someone that actually cares about who she is and what she could achieve in life. My eyes were finally open and I can clearly see everything that was in front of me. Jeremy told me before I went to treatment, you cannot love anyone else until you truly learn how to love yourself first. I didn't understand what he meant then, but to this day he made so much sense. My life now is amazing. I've been sober for 13 months now and drug-free for 18 months. I never knew that this was possible. I have achieved getting my L for driving and owning my own at-home nail and beauty business, as well as attending school to complete my adult dogwood diploma. I honestly know if it wasn't for Jeremy or Wilt Treatment Center or any of my friends or family, I wouldn't be standing here where I am today. I have taken that leap of faith and I now can fly. I am content. I am positive. I am awake and I am alive. I am me. So I wrote this in school and I cried writing it about 3 or 4 times. And this story is a reflection of my life and just everything that I went through. I just wanted to share it with everybody else that is going through a hard time, going through a struggle, or losing somebody that they really love, relationship problems, addictions, anything. And hopefully it helps somebody else. Feel free to share it because I know it might help somebody else and might mean as much to somebody else as it did to me. But you could rewatch this video if you missed the beginning or the middle or the end. And it took me a lot of courage to come on here and share this. And I just want to thank everybody for tuning in and actually staying through this whole video. I needed to share it though, because I have gone through a lot in my life, and when you are content with your life, you need to let things go, and in able to do that, you have to have courage and to take a step forward in the right direction. Doesn't matter what it is, doesn't matter how you feel, you always have to share your story and tell your story, because it can change somebody else's life. Jeremy told me his story and it changed my life. But yeah, sharing this story will make me feel more at ease now. So hopefully it's a good story for my adult dogwood diploma, my narrative story. I know it's really long, but I just needed to share it with everybody. So now that I have that out and I have that off of my chest, I could finally breathe. I can finally no longer be scared or be worried. I can finally let it go, and I can finally move forward with my life, as I have been for the past year or two. It's been hard. It really has been, but I was in that place of darkness. Everything around me was black. I couldn't even see. I was blind. I was deaf. I was numb. And now when you actually see the light, I guess you could say, your life gets better. It really honestly does. So, yeah. Thanks everybody, and I hope everybody has a good day. Sorry for the crying. I just needed to do that. Not only for myself, not only for my family or my friends, but for everybody. just so they have an idea of what I went through, the struggles that I went through, and the life that I'm going through right now is amazing, and I wouldn't change it for the world. I just see so many hurt posts on Facebook about everybody going through a hard time with relationships and addictions and loss of family, and I hope this helps you guys. And if you need to talk to somebody, share your story, share your hurt on Facebook, on Notes, on Messenger, anywhere. Share it. Nobody has the right to judge you. You have your story, you have your hurts, you have your addictions or your relationship problems. It doesn't matter. Share it. Release it. Let it go. Ask for help. Call for help. You're never alone. I have been through this struggle and I have succeeded. And if anybody else out there needs help, I am here for you. It doesn't matter where you are or what time, I am here because I know the struggle and I know the hurt. So just stay strong, stay positive, and keep moving forward in life. Remember the people that love you. Remember the children and your nieces and nephews that love you. Never let go. Never give up on hope. Always have faith. Always have courage and strength. And if you need to, cry. Cry and let it out, because that truly does help. Remember to smudge. Remember to pray. Remember to ask for forgiveness. But never give up. Have a good day, everybody.